Okay, this is a quick demo of our database system that we've put together using the Commence tool. This database is designed to keep track of all of our parts research and parts procurement. Let's take a look first at the parts manager here. The parts manager gives us a display of all of our parts groups that we can place parts into. These groups allow us to collect parts into multiple logical regions so that we can quickly search for them. For instance, if we're looking for capacitors or diodes or Hall effect sensors, we can quickly click on those, and any part that falls into that category will be quickly displayed for us. We have multiple views here. Over here on this right hand side, we have a description-based view. This shows us everything alphabetically by description. We can also look at them by vendor. By clicking on the vendor tab, we'll see the same parts list, in this case capacitors, listed by vendor. Here we have BG Micro as a vendor, then DigiKey, then NIC Components, and in this case they're also sorted by the vendor's part number. You can also look for them by manufacturer. Again, it's the same parts list again. We have no manufacturer on these parts, KMET, Murata, NIC Components, Panasonic, and so forth. Let's take a look at one of the details on one of these parts. This is one of the capacitors that we have in the database. This is a ceramic capacitor. This is from Murata Electronics. Here we have the order number that's provided, in this case by DigiKey, the description of the part, and then the manufacturer's number. Then we have a part group. The part group allows us to classify this part in any number of groups that we have available. You can just click these off, as many as you like, whatever your preference is. We have multiple parts fields. This is used for price estimating and so forth. This is one piece, 10, 100,000, 10,000, and so on. The target cost is really the target that we're trying to achieve when we purchase this part. There's an image of the part, so you can get a good idea what the part looks like. And then notes. The notes are just a flexible field for saying anything about the part that you need to know or customizing information. The warning we're not using yet. This is be used in production or something if you want to give warnings to the production line that there's something needs to be paid attention to, or maybe even the ordering line, to things to watch out for. Here's a link to the vendor. A link to the vendor's website. Now this is one of the nice features of Commence. When you double click on this field here, the web opens immediately to that page where this part can be purchased from. Now this is really handy because if you want to get back to find out where to buy this thing, if you've purchased it from the web, this will take you right back there with just a double click. There's another link on here that's just very important. It's the link to the datasheet. The PDF datasheets are very, very critical for any engineering project. Simply by double clicking on this, it will take you, again, the web browser, right to that PDF file. And here it is. Takes a couple seconds to load. And that will link you back very quickly to the originating PDF. But there's one more feature in here that makes the database very, very important, is this button up here called the folder button. What happens when you put these parts into the database, Commence automatically creates folders on your server, on your local drives of those parts. So in this case, I'm filing these parts by part number. This part number here was generated by Commence when I created the part. Here's the part number up here is a 03100-036. It's a purchase part, so it's in the 03 class. And the 124 is a check digit. And what happens is when I create these parts in Commence, let me find my folder here. When I create these parts in Commence, Commence will automatically go and set up these folders on my server for me. Now, one interesting thing about that is Commence has been programmed to automatically put an HTML file in that folder with all the details from the database, including the hyperlinks to the website where the datasheet can be found and the vendor's link can be found. But here's the datasheet. Here is a PDF file. It's a L0005E.pdf. Commence also has been programmed to go fetch a copy of that PDF file and store a local copy of that file right there on our hard drive. So that prevents us from ever losing track of this part, even if the website goes down or the vendor goes away or something changes out in the web world, which it often does. We still have a local archived copy. We've got a folder that we can put our own files into, make any documentation that we want about this particular part, and so forth, and just keep a permanent archive. If we click back here on this purchase folder, you'll see that this folder, this purchase directory, is full of many, many parts. Lots of part numbers. Could be hard to look at, but the fact is you don't generally come here and look at these parts directly. If you had to, you could still open any folder, click on the HTML file, and then you'd see exactly what that part was with all of the relative links, and you'd see the PDF. So if you had to get into this folder to poke around and get at your parts, you could still do that. But generally you don't have to. And you can see there's many, many parts that we have listed here. So Commence takes care of all these things for us automatically. It's very handy because we don't ever have to pay attention to our server until we need it for some particular reason. We're going to stop the video here, and then I'll give you a tour of how we load the database with the part information.